Welcome to The Big Break Show, a podcast where we discuss short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, life, mindset, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Rafa and Jesse Vasquez.
And we're back with another episode of The Big Break Show. What's up, everybody? I am here with my co-host, Mr. Jesse Vasquez. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? Can you believe we're on episode? Do you know what number we're on?
You know I don't. What episode are we on?
Know.
34.
We're on number 34. I can't believe you actually got that right, man.
I got that right.
That is awesome. And you know what? You guys are special guests today for the episode 34. We have Lattice Hudson, who I'm actually working with right now to this day. She is a business coach and she is fantastic. So if you're looking to level up your business, whether that's social media, you have a course that you're putting together, she helps out with all those systems, putting things in place. And right now, you know that business coaches are highly important. Rafa, we just got done with another podcast, and you see these high level people, they all have business coaches. What do you think that is for, man? Why do you think that is?
Oh, it's huge, dude. It helps you get it. It's kind of like talking to like a therapist almost, but for business, right? You get from a level of where your business is at to the next level of where you need to get out of your own head. You never see it. Like me as myself, I would never see where I need to go and what I need to focus to make my business grow. And it's a trend that you see in very high level individuals that are always doing high level things. They have coaches and experts in every field of what their focus is on, right? Everybody talks about like, oh, training, oh, a coach, right? The problem, in my opinion, the hard part is picking the right ones for that specific niche of where we're at. And I'm glad that you're working with her because after this episode, dude, it was so good. I was like, man, you know, like she talks about like the whole social media coaching and creating your course and talking about it and helping people out. It was really, really good.
Yep. Yeah. She talks about funnels, like click funnels, ads, like all these things that are really important to grow your business and things that you might necessarily not think about, especially if you're in the real estate space. I mean, we see everybody advertising all these things here and there, but she breaks things down, the nuts and bolts and how to do it. And like I said, I'm in her course now. We're doing live one-on-ones and I already see a difference as I'm kind of formulating my course and my stuff together. It's something that absolutely people need if you're getting started or if you're, already kind of in the space like I'm at or Rafa's at. This is what you need to level up. I mean, you really need coaches.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys to listen to this. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show.
Lattice, we are so excited to have you on today. We're going to talk about how you got involved in the business coaching space. And I'm excited about this because this is a space that I'm in, a space that I've been pushing Rafa to get into, which Rafa has his course that's coming along. And he should be launching it when? Rafa, when are you going to have your course going, man?
It's going to be available for everybody who's in my NFT group first by the end of, in 5 days.
5 days.
So it'll be available in 5 days for them. And then I'll probably make it available for everybody else after that.
Yeah, so this is perfect timing. Lattice, talk to us about what you do, how you got started into this space, your upbringing, where you grew up at. We'll dive deep into the woods on everything that you have showing. So like today's really going to be an episode, you guys, about entrepreneurship, growth, being able to build your brand. So Lattice, talk to us about this. Let's go. Let's dive into it.
Yes. Well, thanks y'all for having me. I'm so pumped to be here. I'm Lattice Hudson. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, but I'm originally born and raised in Chicago. Go White Sox. I'm not a Cubs fan. Everybody always asks, like, are you a Cubs or White Sox? Like, I'm from the South Side. I'm a White Sox fan. So I live in sunny Scottsdale. It's sunny every single day. I'm so happy that I'm here. But a little bit about me. Like I said, I grew up in Chicago. I had a not super normal upbringing. But I would say like we were like middle class and I was brought up and, kind of just did the day-to-day normal thing. Went to school, came home, did all the things. I didn't have any entrepreneurs like in my family. A fun fact, I am adopted. So I kind of got adopted into a really big family. But none of my like siblings or parents were entrepreneurs. So I don't know where I got the entrepreneurial bug. It must have just been in the womb. But I would say around like 18 years old, I had to make the decision of like, okay, how am I going to make my life be better than what I've had? Like my mom did the best that she could. My dad passed away when I was 10. So she kind of was like on her own for a pretty good while after that. And I was like, my mom did the best that she could, but like, how can I make sure that not only can I have a better life, but also how can my kids in the future, I still don't have kids, but one day, how could they have a better life? And so I took the traditional route. I went to college. I got my undergrad. I went to a very expensive small college in Naperville, Illinois. It was a pretty good experience. I got a lot of scholarships for being a Black woman, so that was great. But honestly, like I never was super fulfilled, right? I got my degree in human resource management. I minored in leadership, but I never was fulfilled. But I knew that like this is what you do to like make money. You go to college, you get a degree, you make money, life's great, you make six figures. That's the end all be all. So I did that for 4 years, graduated in 2015 with my undergrad. And then right after undergrad, I was working for Target. So I'd worked for Target through college and through high school, and I became an executive team leader, like assistant store manager. So I did that for a few years. And then I just like uprooted my life, moved to Colorado for a guy. Never recommend that. Do not move a different state for anybody else. Did that. That didn't work out. And then I just found myself back in like 2018, like really just not in a good place, like mental health wise. I was in Denver, it was snowy. I was like, whoa, like what am I going to do with my life? I had been, at that point, I was working for Avis Budget Group. I had gotten a position as a regional HR business partner. So I was only like 24 years old. I had a really fancy job title. I was making a six-figure salary, and I just wasn't, again, I just like kept feeling like this internal bug of like, there has to be more. So I ended up, I had like $15,000 in the bank in September 2018. I quit my six-figure job. And I think the biggest point of that, people always ask, like, what made you do it? Like, why are you so, like, how did you have that belief in yourself? And honestly, I was like, at the end of the day, I needed to take radical responsibility for my life because I was depressed. I was sad. I had a breakup. I was in a state. I had no family. I knew hardly anybody. And I knew that like it was all in my mind. So that was really like my journey up into entrepreneurship. So I'll take a pause there, but that's kind of how I like the entrepreneurship journey started. And yeah, I've been full-time since 2018.
So I really like your story because it kind of, you transition to a bunch of different things, right? So tell us exactly right now what your main focus is for all the listeners to understand what it is that you do and how actually you got into this specific part of what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So let me back up a little bit. In 2017, I got really sick. So I ended up having to take FMLA. At that point, I was working for Lowe's as an HR manager and I got really sick. So I was on bed rest for a couple of months and I was like, well, what can I do to make money? This is when the entrepreneurial bug like kind of just got into me because I had nothing else to do. I was still getting paid. I'm like, okay, well, there's no risk here really. So I found Turo. It's pretty big now, but it's basically like the Airbnb for cars. So I had my car, I had me, and I was like, well, I can't really go anywhere anyway. So I put my car on the platform. I did a little bit of research, found a couple tour groups on Facebook, a few YouTube videos, and I just like went for it. I think my first month was September 2017 when I put my car, and I think I made over $1,000 that month, and my car payment was like a few $100s. So I was like, okay, like this is pretty dope. So that's when my entrepreneurial bug just really started. So in 2017, 2018, I bought few more cars, started growing that business, got an LLC. I was like, I'm really doing it. So I ended up getting about 4 cars. And then that's what allowed me to leave my full-time job, right? I had a little bit of savings, but then I had my Turo business and I also was doing a little bit of drop shipping and stuff on Amazon. So that allowed me to leave my full-time job. It didn't quite fully replace my salary after like expenses and stuff, but I knew that it would be enough for me to like get to it. So that's kind of like the transition from like corporate to entrepreneurship. That's how it started. But in 2019, I kind of again was in that place of being like unfulfilled. I had a career where I worked with people on a day-to-day basis. I was building relationships as an HR manager. I love that, but I also loved entrepreneurship. So that's kind of where I found coaching. And I was like, okay, well, I've built 2 decently successful businesses, right? I actually built businesses before I became a business coach, did that for a couple of years. And I was like, well, if I could take what I've learned there and put that into teaching people how to do it themselves, like that is where my passion lies. So that kind of started to happen in about mid 2019, about 3 years ago now. So that's kind of like the transition, because I just was like, I need to use my skills for something different besides like renting out cars. So yeah.
I love how a lot of entrepreneurs and like people who start up to become entrepreneurs come from the share space, right? Like
Yeah.
sharing space or whatever it's called. The
Shared
geez, I'm
economy.
blanking on the word just, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sharing economy, right? Like
Yeah.
Turo's awesome. I use it, right? Airbnb is awesome. Like there's so many out there. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. So, okay, so you had the Turo business that was going successful.
hmm
You had the Amazon drop shipping stuff. What kind of stuff were you selling on Amazon?
Yeah, so I was doing like FBA really. So I was just doing a lot of resale. So I was going to like Marshalls and Walmart and like doing all that. And then also I was kind of reselling on eBay as well. So I was really hustling, right? I got to a point where I hired a VA. It was really great. But what I had found was that it was like really exhausting, right? For one, I didn't love doing inventory and cost of goods sold and all that. I did not love that part of the business. But then as far as like the actual it was pretty labor intensive from like going to like go shop for everything and then sending it in and packaging it. So I only did that for about a year and I just found out that that was just not for me. But it was really helpful to have that experience so that I could have that like reflection of like, hey, this isn't for me as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like big name entrepreneurs like Ryan Pineda started off freaking couch flipping. You know what I mean? Like literally
Yeah.
buying couches and flipping them. Gary Vee goes to yard sales, buys shit, and then repurposes and sells it. He'll find these random things that are like Pokemon cards and stuff like that, and we'll just like repurpose and sell them. So I think like the younger generation, that's something that's like, powerful in that aspect. That, I mean, Gary Vee has tons of followers. A lot of people follow Ryan Pineda, but that's how a lot of entrepreneurs get started in this space, just like Rafa was talking about.
Yeah.
Um, First off, yeah, you're right on that. Never fly somewhere for a person and live there. I just want to make sure I say
Yeah.
that.
Learned my lesson.
And Lattice and I are wearing yellow shirts. We color coordinated this on purpose, you guys. We had Rafa in the middle
We did.
specifically. So
We set it up.
there he is. We did. So how did you go into coach? So what shifted your brain into going to coaching? And like, what does that actually look like? Because for me, like, I never looked at myself as a coach. And Rafa and I have had these conversations where we're like, Rafa's like, I just want to help people. Like at the end of the day, like if you're about serving people, then things will come to you, right? And I think that Rafa's like one of those examples where finally, I had to push the dude to finally get a course and stuff together. So what made you feel like what made you realize that you're a coach? Like what made you have that mindset that I'm a coach now? And how do you help people leverage that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was already doing it in corporate, right? I had leadership teams underneath me. I was 24, 25, leading teams of like 700. So I had gotten a lot of experience really quickly. I've been in leadership since I was 18. So I had always saw myself as like a coach, I guess you could say, somebody that helped. Really, when I think about coaching, is helping somebody create a transformation for themselves. So I'd always been doing that, but I didn't know that there was a market where you could actually like make a really amazing income and do it for whatever you loved. And for me, that was like the combination of like actually like leadership and coaching and business. So I think really how I stumbled into, I'll be honest, there's a girl named Amanda Bucci who I really love and look up to still to this day. We are about the same age. I think she's a little bit younger than me by like a month or two, but I saw that she was like a fitness coach, right? And I was really at the time, like 2014, 2015, when I found her, I never like really paid attention to her. She was talking about fitness coaching. I'm like, that's a scam. I really thought she was like a scam. Like I'm being honest. Like I thought the whole coaching industry was like fake. So I never acted on it. But then fast forward a few years, I was like, well, let me like look Amanda up again. Let me see what she's doing. And I really started to like pay attention to, I'm like, well, she's creating this lifestyle that has all this freedom and flexibility and also creating like a lot of support and help for all these other people. Like she's no different than me, right? I just have a different skill set. Fitness wasn't my skill set, but business was something that I got really good at. So that's kind of what took me down the like YouTube University rabbit hole to figure out that this was like a viable career option.
Got you. So what was your first client like? How did you start scaling that business? How did you start like, piecing things together? How did you start like kind of were you doing that at like Target and all these other stores already? Like basically putting concepts together and then
No,
like
I
creating
wasn't.
decks and doing it? You weren't doing that?
No, I wasn't doing it. I just had like a good skill set as far as like actually being able to communicate and talk to people. But I would say, I got my first clients in 2019, like about 3 years, May 2019, I got my first clients. And really I started working with people for free. Initially, I was like, well, I have a skill set. I think if I could provide value, and I just saw a few YouTube videos on this. So I was like, well, if I provide some value, give them some support, Because initially I started helping people with their churro business, right? I was coaching on like how to create a profitable side hustle because I had already did it, been successful. I was like, well, I'm seen as an expert. So I created a YouTube channel. I was creating videos on there, not super consistently, but I had a couple of a couple of little viral uploads. And then from there, I just put like a link in my YouTube and saying, hey, just book a free discovery call with me if you want to learn more about how to start a Turo business. So that was kind of like the segue. I knew like if I just kept showing up and creating content, that it would eventually lead to something. So I did that on really YouTube and Instagram are my primary places. And it just kind of like took off from there. I was just super consistent.
So Lattice, you just brought up YouTube and Instagram. And I think everybody listening right now, whether you're just getting started in this space, whether it's investing in real estate, if you're, putting together an Amazon, if you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, document what you're doing, because there's people out there that will follow you based off of what's happening. And I love that you said that because I didn't really believe in the power of like YouTube. And I was talking to Rafa about this not that long ago. In Instagram, people resonate with other people. Like that's how you and I actually connected, was you watched a YouTube video and then all of a sudden the link maybe connected you to my Instagram. So that's so powerful in itself, because I think a lot of times with entrepreneurs, we get stuck in like, nobody's going to listen to me. Why would anybody want to buy anything that I have? Why would anybody do that? But all you do is start putting things out and like people will show up. You have to obviously market it in a way and get out there. But, and it's uncomfortable being in front of a camera. Like, I hate being in front of a camera. I think Rafa enjoys it, but,
Rafa, I wouldn't have guessed that though. You're so Rafa good at it.
No.
Oh, not me.
Jesse loves it. He's such a liar. Everywhere he's going, he's recording.
He's trying to be humble.
Don't be modest, bro.
I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm on my. I'm me filming myself right now. I really don't like that.
You're gonna start vlogging now.
Start vlogging.
I know.
No, nobody wants to see what I'm doing on the day-to-day basis. But no, you brought that up, and it's such a thing because I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they can do it. And like I'm an example of literally just recording yourself. Rafa just started his YouTube channel. Like, and all this stuff is somebody's going to watch it 2 years, 3, 5, 7, 10 years down the road and still see that Instagram title, still see that email there. So let's talk about like, how social media has helped you. I mean, that's how we connected and how that helps you with your coaching business. And actually, let's talk about who you help first, because I know that you help women of color, right? Is that mostly your
women? All women. Yeah. All women? I work with a lot of women of color, but all women. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's dive into that. And then the power of Instagram and YouTube.
Yes, I think I want to touch on that really quick, just because my first client was like $100. It was $40. It was an hourly session. Then it was $100. And then I was like, well, I'm spending a lot of time, so let me raise my rates. And then within 2 months, I went from $100 to $3,000 coaching packages. And my first high ticket, the girl that paid me $3,000, she literally messaged me on Instagram. She's like, I've just been seeing you show up consistently the last couple of months. I'm ready. Out of nowhere, literally. So I just want to share with y'all, like, even if you think no one's listening, at some point somebody will. And here's the thing I always say is like, we all started at zero. Like I started at zero and now I have a 7-figure business. Like I started at zero. So if you're hearing this being like, there's no way I could be like Jesse or Rafa or Lattice, you absolutely can. You just have to take the next step. So what was your question?
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up, because I felt that. And I'm sure Rafa felt that at some point. I mean, Rafa and I connected on freaking Clubhouse when COVID was locked down. So like our conversations, we weren't able to have conversations. Nobody wanted to listen to me talk about short-term rentals. Rafa, I'm pretty sure you felt the same way. Your family was probably sick of hearing you talk about it. So that's how we connected. And here we are, a year and a half later on, we have a podcast together and stuff. So, okay. So that's good. That's good to hear. So let's talk about your clientele right now. So you help a lot of women. It's mainly women, yes. But we're not discounting men in this. So like, say somebody like me that's starting to get the ball rolling. Like I feel like I haven't even got started yet. So like, how would you help somebody like me has a book of business, it's kind of moving along, has a small following? Like what would something like that look like? How would you help me in this situation?
Yeah, so I always like to first identify like what's your big objective and what's your long-term vision, because we can make all these strides for like short-term goals, but for me, I'm a big visionary. So I would ask you like, what's your big vision? So the clients specifically that come to me, they have some sort of expertise. They're an expert in some area. And when I say expert, I'm not saying that you need to be the Tony Robbins of your niche, but you need to know 2 to 3 steps ahead of the people that you're trying to help. So Jesse, you're a perfect example. Like I came to you because I'm like, I want to learn about MTRs. I have no idea about real estate. And you clearly have created some success. So if a client came to me and was like, hey, Lattice, like I have a small following. I've got, my feet on the ground, but I really want to make this thing bigger. So from there, what I would do is say, okay, well, let's look at like, what are your revenue goals? What are your, what's your big vision? Like, where do you see your life? What type of lifestyle do you want to create? Because that's really important to me. I want to work with clients that want to put their lifestyle first. I'm not about hustling and grinding 24/7. For me, it's really about like life first, business second, and not having to choose between both of them. So from there, what we would do is really take your expertise and skills and package it up into an offer that's going to be sellable. So oftentimes when I'm talking to people that want to get to the coaching space, they want to be like this unique bird and like this unicorn that does something completely different than what other people are doing. But we have to think about it from a very basic economic principle, supply and demand. So if people are already demanding, like, I want to lose weight, right? We're going to create an offer and put our own unique spin on it and help people lose weight. We don't need to create these offers that are so like robust or so different that people aren't actually demanding it in the market. And when I see people coming into the coaching space, especially high ticket, where they go wrong is that they're trying to create an offer that people don't actually want. And that's where they feel like it's not working, people don't want to buy, it's crap, etc. It's just really that people don't want it. So the first thing is like looking at your foundational pieces of like, okay, is this something that people want? Am I good at it? Can I get results? Have I gotten results for myself? Then from there, I'm going to package it up into a 3-month, 4-month, 5-month, 6-month program that has a very clear, tangible, specific outcome that people want. So that's the first step that we would take a client through.
So let me ask you a question on this. When you say a program, is it like modules recorded, like video recordings, or is it like an actual live class? Because I'm curious as to what you mean by that. Which one is it? I mean,
Yeah, so I actually really specialize in like hybrid group programs. So a lot of my clients will come to validate and test their methodologies and frameworks. They'll start with working with people one-to-one. So most of my clients will come in, we'll package up their expertise, we'll take them through and help them create a roadmap of how they're going to get their client from A to Z. And then from there, they're going to work with a couple people one-to-one just to validate their ideas and their offer and their methodology. It's like so much easier to validate that in a one-to-one container because you're going to get instantaneous feedback. So from there, we take all those lessons, all those learnings, and then we take that and package it up into what I call like a hybrid group program. So in a hybrid group program, you have 3 main components, and this is what I specialize in and what I'm known for. You have course, you have community, and then you also have coaching. Okay, so the course, it's like a standard pre-recorded course, but it really is solving the whole puzzle. From there, you also are going to have community. So you want to have some sort of live community so that your clients don't have to fully rely on you as an operator to be there 24/7 to support them. When I implemented community back into my program at the end of 2019, because I started with one-to-one and then switched over to this model, my clients got better results. And the reason why I always say it takes like a village to raise a child, it's no different between your clients. Like they need a village, right? They need people that are on the same journey as them because there may be points where they look at you, they look at me like, Lattice, you've made the 7 figures. I'm still at 6. Like, so there could be a slight disconnect. So having a community of women, in my case, that are in the same spot, it really creates, that community. It creates that support group. It gives them a container to feel safe, seen, and heard. The third part of that is really going to be live coaching. So instead of like having to meet with people one-to-one every week, like you have 5, 10 different one-to-one calls, in order to create a scalable model, you've got to trim the fat there and you're going to be repeating yourself at some point. So you've already, all the repetition that you're doing is put into your course. And now you're going to show up once a week or twice a week on a group call and you're going to be in a one-to-many setting. So this is why I can charge 5 figures to work with me because I've mastered all of that and have all these results and testimonials now, right? And even if you don't have all that yet, putting it in this model is going to give them like the best of all the worlds combined instead of just a course or just live coaching. You're getting all of it in one. And that's what makes it instantly more valuable.
Got it. Okay. So I want to start from step 1. In order to show and start your course proof of concept, you start doing like small one-on-ones, right?
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep. I usually tell my clients like 3 to 5 one-to-ones over the course of like 2 to 3 months. Yep.
Got it. And then from there, you start scaling to the recorded videos, for which is the basic, like get an overview of what you're teaching. And then you do the community, something like a Facebook group, I'm assuming.
Facebook group, Slack, Circle, Member Vault, any of that.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay. And then from there, you do the once a month coaching calls, right?
We do once a week, but yeah.
Oh, once a week. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that's just addressing issues that everybody in the community has.
Yeah, just Q&A typically. Sometimes we do some trainings, update, but typically Q&A.
Got it. Okay, cool. So what classifies as a high ticket item? Like what's the classification there for you to go, okay, this is a high ticket coaching course?
Yeah, I typically say anything that's over $3,000 is high ticket. So most of my clients are between 3 and 15K for their programs.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I love it. Can I take it back a little bit to when you started doing the Turo stuff? When you started the whole coaching thing, did you start coaching on Turo, or how did you transition from that to doing this type of coaching now?
Yeah, so I got like a good amount of testimonials under my belt, and like what my expertise was in Turo. So I was working with people just with Turo first, and then I broadened that niche a little bit and helped people with side hustle. So I helped like freelancers. One of my clients, Courtney, was one of my first clients. She's amazing. She's a blogger and a travel influencer. And then I kind of recognized, okay, well, all these skills that I had in corporate America, working with leaders, that was really my passion. So that's why I was like, well, now I'm going to work with other coaches, because typically I see coaches as leaders. So after like having that, like about 6 to 9 months of working with the side hustlers, I transitioned into working with other coaches. So that was kind of the transition.
Got it.
Yeah. So, okay. What if you have a client that has like, they want to charge 3,000 for something that's not worth 3,000? And what makes something worth, like for my course, like I charge $3,000. It's $3,000 for my course. Like what makes my course worth $3,000, or what makes somebody's course worth that much money? Because I have people that message me and be like, man, your course is way too much. I can't afford that. And like, I put so much energy, and Rafa knows this. Like it took me a long ass time to put this thing together, like
It's a
blood,
lot of
sweat, and
work.
tears, like months and months of work, and, you know, putting decks together and tweaking it around. So what makes somebody's course worth that much? Is it just that they think that that's what it's worth, or like, how does that come about?
Yeah, so that's a good question. First, I'll say there's always going to be people that are going to say something's too expensive. It's not your person, buy. Like that's how I feel about it. Not obviously, if you're not an expert and all that, then yeah, you should probably look at that feedback. But if you have gotten yourself results, even if you've done free clients results, like you're in the position to charge at a higher level. So here's my perspective of saying, okay, it's worth that much. First, the question is like, what do I value? Right? What do I value? For me, I value speed. I value efficiency. I value learning from somebody else's mistakes. Okay, this is how wealthier people get wealthy. They learn from other people's mistakes. So I always have to ask myself, like, would I pay $3,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 for this product? That's the first question, okay? The second thing is when we think about the actual structure, having all those components that I talked about is going to instantly give you more value to the bottom line of the offer, because you're trading your time for money. And we all know time is the most expensive currency. So anytime there's live coaching or live support, you automatically will be able to charge more for that because you're spending your time. And in my case, I have a team that also coaches on my clients as well. The third piece I look at is how can I take the time that they're spending trying to learn this skill set or this expertise and cut it in half? How can I do it more efficiently than my competition, right? So for me, it's like, I don't want my clients spending a year trying to figure out how to create a coaching program. I'm going to teach you how to do it in 6 months. So now when I look at myself in the market compared to my competition, not only have I cut the time in half, I have a better product, I also have a higher level of service, and it's just an amazing experience. I also have in-person retreats as well that increases the value. I didn't start there, right? But I've been able to add those things on, and I call it like stacking the value. And that's how I've been able to increase my rates pretty rapidly over like 2.5, 3 years.
One of the reasons why I started charging for my consultation calls was because everybody wanted me to jump on a quick phone call. And I was like, well, now it's starting to become not very quick. I'm doing 7 or 8 of these a day.
Yeah.
So I started putting a price behind it. Same thing when I did that 5-day boot camp, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't even intended to be a 5-day boot camp. And Jesse, so what I did, Lattice, to give you a little bit of background, is I was building out, I took over a 30-unit complex, and I was building out, I think at that time it was like 7 units out of the 30. And I posted it on Instagram, and a bunch of people kept asking me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to have people come in. And I posted a post, and a bunch of people came in and they're like, yeah. And it was like 160 people. And I was like, I can't have 160 people here. So I put a price behind it. Now a bunch of people fell off. And then still had a bunch of people, it was 100 and something. And then I raised the price. And then a bunch of people fell off. and I still had too many. So I kept raising the price until I kept it to the amount of people that I can only have there at that time.
Yeah.
And it was a whole 5-day training. But man, let me tell you, it was exhausting. It was awesome. I think it was great. And I provided really good value. And everybody got everything they wanted, like from start to finish. Like I went in super detailed, but man, was it draining. I don't know if I would ever do something like that again. Yeah.
It's a lot of energy to deal with people.
Yeah, it is. But Rafa, you also did it back to back, man. You got to space your days out. Like,
Well, this one was unique though, Jesse, right? Because like he's saying, like the reason why I did it back to back was because I was teaching while I was building.
oh, that's right.
So we were
Yeah.
actually doing that stuff on site. Like
like
otherwise,
live.
yeah, like now I would do like once a week or maybe once a month
Right.
type of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, at that point it was, but I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was great. It was, man, it was so exhausting. And I recorded it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It
good.
is exhausting. I think a lot of people don't realize that too. Like when you get into coaching, like it is exhausting. Especially if you're like, I'm an introvert by nature. Like I just, with this stuff, like I feel like it's like work for me. I have to be an extrovert to be in this field.
Yeah.
But so I'm drained from people. Like it's just part of my personality. I get anxious really easy. I have anxiety. Like that's just how I am. So when I'm around like people, we go to meetups, Rafa, like I'm like anxious the whole time, white knuckling it, just sitting there, talking, being on stage and stuff like that. But I pound through, and I think a lot of times, a lot of people have that same situation. But that's what the great thing about entrepreneurship is, that I can create a business and be at home. Like I can create this business, have everybody on Zoom calls, and build a 6-figure business just based off of the experience that I have, and then translate that to people that obviously get some results, and then they share that with other people, and they'll share that with other people, and it just keeps it's like this snowball effect. And I think that's fantastic. And I think a lot of people, Lattice, don't know how to get started. Like, they don't know what to do. Like they have an expertise in something, but they just don't know where to go. So like Rafa and I were just having this discussion the other day. What's the best site? Kajabi, Thinkific, like what would you recommend as far as somebody creating an online course? What would you say would be the best?
So for an online course, I would say we use Kajabi in my business, and I started there, and it's a lot to transfer it. So we're not going to transfer anytime soon. But I would say as far as like the actual tech and back end, if you're brand new, like don't get caught up in the weeds, right? Go validate the thing, go validate that first, and go find 5 people that could use your expertise and support, offer them 30 days of free coaching in exchange for a testimonial, right? Have them sign a contract. And then from there, like gas yourself up and get that social proof. So now when you actually go try to sell it, right? When you go to sell it, you have that backing you up. So I would say at minimum, you need a way to take a payment. You need a way to sign a contract. I recommend something called EverSign. It's $10 a month, right? You need to be able to take on Zoom calls. And then you also need to be able to store your documents for your clients, Google Suite, Google Drive. That's like all you need to get started. Okay. You don't need any fancy tech. All that's like less than $20 a month. Okay. So do that with your first like 3 to 5 one-to-one clients. And then from there, when you're ready to build out like a full-fledged course, like really professional, I recommend Kajabi, Member Vault. Those are really great options to get started there. But I didn't even have a website the first 2 years of my business. And people always are like, what? Like I didn't have one, because I just had a good social media presence, and that's all that I needed to be validated. So yeah, don't get in the weeds, but yeah.
You have a website now?
I do, but it needs to be updated, but I do have one.
Got you. Okay, cool. Okay, so let me try to figure this out right now. So Kajabi, you're saying, is because I got Thinkific, and I've been working on that for a while. It seems pretty easy to use. But Kajabi, I think, takes a portion of whatever you earn. So if I made $3,000, they take like 3%, don't they? Like of the overall amount?
Well, any payment processor is going to take an amount. It's usually like 2.9% plus like 30 cents. So anywhere you take a payment, it will. But Kajabi itself won't take anything from you. That'll be Stripe.
Okay.
Or PayPal.
Stripe. Okay. So I thought that Kajabi.
Told you, bro. I told
you're right.
You've been talking about this for like 2 weeks now.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe
you owe Rafa a yellow shirt.
I know, man. I'm gonna send you this one right here.
Now,
I just worked out in it. I'm gonna send it to you, buddy. All right. So
appreciate it.
Okay. Well, I know. I gave him a shirt, and I sprayed my cologne on it. I was like, "Here, Rafa, you can smell me later, buddy." And I gave him an Airventure shirt. He's probably like, "I don't ever want to wear that again." Sorry, Rafa.
Probably.
I washed it first. Don't worry.
So
good to know you're clean.
Yeah, Rafa's a clean guy. So I'm just trying to understand, because I'm going through this now, and I need to figure out. And anybody listening to this right now, if you have an expertise in something, what are the steps to take? So you just broke down everything to do for 20, like literally $20. Like, 5 people that you know.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. So now break it down into structure. Like, so with me, like this is almost gonna be like a live coaching right now. All right, Lattice, you're gonna take me on as a client. All right.
My hourly rate's $2,000, but I got
Is it
you.
All right. Well,
It
we're going to do
is,
this in a few minutes. So what would you say to me right now? So like I've been able to, get a small following. I don't have like thousands of people following me on Instagram. I have a few grand, and half of them are just people that I
That's all
followed
you
first
need.
and they followed me back. And
Yeah.
so how would I go now? Like I have a coaching program. I'm doing it live. And I'll tell you right now,
Yes.
Lattice, it takes my soul to do it every time. And I love helping people. I love being able to do that, but it's so much work, which is why people
It is.
make things evergreen, right? That's why they do them.
I'm the evergreen queen.
So yeah, so I have like 20 people in my class right now. I have one-on-one calls with every single one of those people for 3 times. Like imagine how many hours I'm spending
Please
right now.
stop. Stop it right now. Do not offer that anymore. No
Really?
more one-to-one calls. I don't do any, like, unless people pay in full for us on our like second level program. That's the only way you could get Lattice one-to-one. You cannot get me one-to-one. Don't ask.
Well, I got you here right
You
now.
can't.
So, all right. So, okay. So
Well,
maybe
you
I'm
do,
doing that
yeah.
wrong. So what would you say to me
Yeah.
right now where I've been able to build a following, I'm able to charge a pretty decent amount for my course. I only do this like 3 or 4 times a year, like every quarter. I do one class every quarter. So the demand is
Yeah.
there, right? But then I have a lot of people who are just
Yeah.
like, let me buy your recordings from you. So this is where my brain's
I
at. Like
asked
now,
you that. And I was
Yeah.
like, I want to tell him what to do, but I'm not going to do that. But I was waiting for this moment to be like, this is what you need to do. So I'm ready to answer this question. You
all
ready?
right, cool. Yes, go ahead. So what do I
Okay.
do right now?
So here's what you need to do, right? You need to look at, do you have your program, like you've taught it a few times and you've gotten results, right? You're good
Lots
there.
of time. Yeah, I'm
I'm
already like,
assuming.
this is, I think like
Okay.
the 5th time. Yeah, we have quite a bit of testimonials already. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what we want to do is take all of that, all the things that you've taught live every single week, and we want to create a curriculum. We want to create a curriculum from A to Z. So we want to look at the end, like what do you want your clients to walk away with at the end? So tell me, like, what's the goal that you want?
The goal is I want to be able to give people all the material that they need to get started. Because like midterm rentals, like everybody does that, right? Like midterm rentals, whatever. But I take it a step further. I worked in healthcare, so I want them to be able to have the knowledge that I do in 17 years in a 4-week course, to be able to go to a recruiter and say, hey, this is what I do. This is how I operate. I want to create a contract with you. And a lot of times this is like a sales class, Lattice. Like a lot of people don't have sales experience. So at the end of the day, it's like basically I'm teaching them how to creatively connect with these agencies. So I want them to be able to have those conversations on a high level. You know how the corporate is. That's how recruiters communicate. So I want them to have that expertise and that knowledge, which they do at the end of week.
So I'm going to sum it up
4.
for you. I'm going to sum it up. So I'm thinking about me because I just came to you over the weekend and was like, yo, let me buy this course. You're like, I don't have it. I was like, oh, I want it now. So ultimately, if we sum it up in one line, you want to help people start and grow an MTR rental business. That's what you want to do, right? Simple.
Right.
Super specific, simple. And then inside of the course, we get phase 1. This is what needs to happen. Phase 2, phase 3, etc. So that's the objective. Okay. So now we're going to take all of that. We reverse engineer it back. So now we're going to look at the first thing that needs to happen, the second, the third, the fourth, etc. So that's what we're going to put inside of your course. I'm not going to go into details for that because that could be a whole nother topic, but we're going to take all that and put that into bite-sized video lessons. Okay. And then from there, we're going to create supplementary content. So if they need checklists, templates, things like that, you want to make sure that they have everything they need to be successful. And this is my rule of thumb. You have all that. That's done.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
I have all that.
Cool. Perfect. So that's done. That's great. Mm-hmm. So now you have this course that's sitting here. So why are you teaching it live? Can I ask you that? And what are you doing when you're teaching it live?
Yeah. So I go through.
I want to know the same thing because I've been telling him that forever.
Rafa's like, just sign me, just check marks, 1 point Rafa, 2 point Rafa.
Oh, come on, man. Okay. So
we're battling right now, back and forth. Let's see, you're watching a battle live.
I know.
I'm sorry, Jesse, go ahead.
So every week I break things down because I had to go from 3 weeks to 4 weeks because it was too much information in a short amount of time. So I'm just teaching like week 1, like this week right now, we're going to go over LinkedIn, how LinkedIn is so powerful, how I looked you up, Lattice, how I connect with recruiters on LinkedIn, how I create back-end systems where if somebody says no to me right now, I can find another way.
But that's in the course, right?
Yeah, it's in the course.
So you're teaching it again live?
Yeah, I'm teaching it again every quarter, just live.
Okay, so you don't need to do that. So your people are adults. They can go through the course as long as it's laid out really well. And what you want to do is add in like these checkpoints. Okay, so by the end of module 1, this is what you should have accomplished. These are your key milestones and results that you should walk away with.
We have
check for understanding. Okay, so you don't need to teach it live. All you need to do is hold space for them to come up and ask questions. They don't need you to reteach it. Now, some people their learning style, they need it taught live. Well, you don't offer that. It's all pre-recorded because now you're burning yourself out, teaching something that's already pre-recorded. You've already done the work. You're just repeating yourself. And your clients are actually probably even using, I bet if you checked your client like logins for your course, probably barely any because you're just teaching it live anyway. So now you take the pressure off yourself. They go through the course. You show up once a week on a Q&A call. They ask you questions. You answer their questions. You upload the recording into the course for replays. And then you move on about your day. And now you're not stressed out anymore. And then you have a community and they can tag you, ask questions, and it's always running.
Rafa's
That's it. That's what you need to
I
do.
want to jump in and just like bash Jesse right now. Like just bash him. Because I've been Jesse's like the king of like in one ear, out the other, dude. I've been, every time I tell him something, it goes in one ear, it goes out the other. And then he calls me 2 days later and he's like, hey bro, how do we do it? And I'm like, bro, we just went over this. So he does the same thing in his course. And I'm like, I've been telling him from day one, I was like, buddy, you should just record your entire course the first time you did it and have people watch that course again.
Yeah.
I know he's more like, and I know why, because he's like personable. Like he wants to be in there and he wants to be like hands-on with the people he's helping, which is
That's
great.
true.
It's great. But you're doing it over and 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 over. And you're like, dude, you just need to do it one time and everybody else who's going to watch it, you're going to teach the same thing. It's not like you're teaching nonsense. You're giving them the same value, except it's just recorded now. Come in and actually address the small issues every single time that you come in for that live call rather than teaching the same thing over and over and over again. Right. And I've been telling him the same thing. Maybe he'll listen to you this time, Lattice. I hope he listens.
Yeah. Well, just recording and anybody listening to this now that if you're going to get into recording something, like that takes a lot of energy in itself because you feel like you have to be perfect and you don't. Like
You do.
Do you have to be perfect?
No, you do feel that way, but you don't have to be.
Okay.
Like
good.
I don't
That
even
scared me
edit
then.
my videos. They're really professional, but I don't we don't chop them up or they're 5 to 15 minute bite. Like typically each module has 4 to 8 lessons, 5 to 15 minutes a piece, a core objective, and that's it. And I update my course 1 to 2 times a year. That's it.
Got you.
You know why I never wanted to do a Lattice is because of that. Why? Just sitting in front of this camera, I'm like, oh my God. So the other day I sat down and I brought 5 sets of clothes and hats and I recorded for 4 hours and I was like, that's it, I'm done, no more.
It's
and
an asset. I barely did it's great though.
Dude, well, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was awesome. I felt super accomplished. When it was done, I was like, yeah, I did it. But then I realized that it was only the first third of the course, a quarter of the course. And I was like, oh my God, I got to do this another 25 times or so. I was like, okay. So it is. It's very hard. It's different. And same thing. Why? I committed to starting my YouTube channel back in September, October. Jesse, remember?
A while ago.
And I literally just started it last month because I couldn't bring myself to get in front of the camera and record it. And I do these because I like having good conversations. This is an awesome conversation. So, but to sit and talk to the camera and be like, hey guys, hey, it's oh my God. Yeah. It gets scary. It does. In the beginning, I was like, I'm going to look like an idiot on here. Even now, I look stupid on here, So I don't know.
I look stupid and make money.
Yeah. You got to get over it. I mean, and that's for me was hard too, to get over it. But you're right, Rafa, the podcast doesn't feel like work to me. We get to sit down with somebody once a week that and they're entrepreneurs, they're in real estate. We literally get to have, you just said you pay $2,000 for a conversation with you. We're getting that conversation and everybody listening to this right now is getting this conversation for free, literally. So that's what I love about doing the show is we get to have somebody that's doing something fantastic and we get to learn from them in a way. So I'm sitting here, obviously, talking to you about this course. And there's a lot of people that are getting into courses now. I think I just read a statistic that said since COVID, 39% of people have left their jobs and created some kind of online presence that they're creating their own business.
Yeah.
And over the next 2 to 5 years, that number is expected to go into the 40 percentile range. And it's going to grow year after year for the next 5 years. So anybody listening to this now, I mean, how many people, Rafa, do we talk to on a regular basis that are trying to get out of the rat race? Literally everybody. A lot. And this is one of the fast track ways to do it. And people realize that during COVID that they, just like you said, you were getting paid to stay at home or work from home and you started creating the side hustle. And you have to get these things done in a way to grow your business. You have to get things together. And I think, Lattice, for myself, when I first started off, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Even to this day, I'm still trying to figure things out. And I think that's part of entrepreneurship is you don't know what you're doing but you try to learn and you have to surround yourself with people that have been there and done that, or people like you that have scaled something or put systems together. I'm not good at that. Rafa's not good at the systems. Actually, you're good at the systems with Airbnb.
I was like, yo, easy. I'm great at systems. I can build awesome systems.
I was talking about the slideshows and stuff. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at putting those things together. The creative part. I'm good at having ideas and stuff, but I'm not good at implementing them. So that's where I need people to help me with that. And I
A
think
lot of CEOs aren't.
yeah,
We're
and we just
visionaries.
exactly. And I think that you have to have the right people in the right spots to do the right job. So now talking about that, do you help people kind of put presence in? So it's like, say I came to you and I was like, Lattice, I'm doing this, but I need digital marketing. I need to have somebody that does this. Like I need to have this. Like, how do you help somebody that has a foot on the ground and then kind of build them in the direction to do? Do you have like content creators? Do you have like, and anybody listening out there, please message me if you are a copywriter, because I need a copywriter. Yeah. Do you help people put those things in place? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say most of my clients come to me at 1 to 2 spots, right? They're really early stage, kind of like where you're at. They may have had some expertise, but they really want to take it to the next level. So that's the first place, and they have like some sort of audience. Or the other person that comes to me is like they're like at a point where they have, tons of one-to-one clients, or they just don't know how to consistently bring in revenue. They've been able to like be successful, but not on a consistent basis. So it just depends on where you're at. But my whole thing is like I help you create $1 million offer, $1 million sales system, and $1 million team. Because once you do that, you can just scale from there. So those are the 3 major buckets. Depending on where you're at, we would put you. So if you're brand new, we're going to help you create the offer. If you're not brand new, we'd help you with your sales system and your marketing system. And then from there, the way to scale is you need humans, right? So you need team. So for you, Jesse, I think it's part of the offer piece of restructuring the offer. It's not, you already have a validated offer, but it's restructuring it so it's more scalable for your lifestyle and for your clients. And then from there, it's having a way to consistently attract new leads every day, nurture them, and then sell them into your high ticket program. So I call that like an automated sales system. So it's a funnel if anybody's in the digital marketing space, but having a funnel that takes people from like cold to close, essentially. So having that running all, like that's how I bring in my clients. Like I have ads up on Instagram, Facebook. I have a nurture system where they're getting nurtured every day. And then from there, I have a sales team that's selling them right actually in the DMs. We don't even do sales calls. So, but yeah, it's getting that piece situated, and then the sky's the limit from there. So we help with all of it.
Yeah. What do you think is more important, sales or marketing?
They're both equally important. Because some people will be great marketers, but don't want to sell a damn thing. Like they're great at creating content. Or think about influencers, where there's influencers with 1 million followers, but they're working a 9-to-5 job. They're great at marketing, but they're not great at sales. So here's the thing, like when you're just starting out, you are the chief officer of everything. So you have to know a little bit of everything. And then as soon as you can, I always recommend to hire out your weaknesses, because you can only scale so far without, like, if your weakness is sales, you're always going to struggle with that. So you have to hire somebody that's better than you. And you have to swallow your pride too. I see some people in this space being like, it's my business, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I mean, if you calm the ego down a little bit, you could be further faster. So, I think they're both equal in the same way. So
yeah, I love that answer, because I always feel, actually, I think you have to have good salespeople. Like I'm a good salesman. Like that's what I did my whole life, right? I was in business development on the sales side, but the marketing, like I'm not a marketer at all. Like I need somebody to tell me, hey, these are the 3 videos you need to do. Talk about these 3 things and then record it, and then I'll piece everything together. Like I need somebody to like basically do that. And I think a lot of times when you're starting off, like you don't know what to do in that essence. You don't know what to market or how to put it out there. Sales stuff is fine. Like I can do that. I can have conversations with people and it's fluid and all that. But the marketing part is for me difficult. And then those leads eventually hopefully translate into sales, right? So yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
So what are like 3 things right now that you can, I know we're getting close to the hour. What are 3 things that you could tell somebody right now that can help them, kind of get things together as far as growth, in this space? They're new starting out, or they're kind of moving along already. Like give us 3 things that somebody can do right now to start growing their online presence or start growing their business, or if they're just getting started, like what they can do, actionable steps.
Yeah. So there's 3 things that I always tell people to focus on: growing your audience, nurturing your audience, and selling to your audience. It's those 3 things. So the first thing is, if you have 0 audience, you have to create an audience. But here's the thing, you don't have to create it from scratch. Yeah, let me tell you. So first thing is growing an audience. So you need to pick a primary platform. Okay. So I'm all about actually, like, I love leveraging paid traffic and organic in combination. But when you're just starting out, you have to pick a primary platform. The issue that I see most coaches and entrepreneurs do, they try to be everywhere, doing all the thing. And if you think about it, I like to look at it like a pie, right? And you cut that pie up in 20% pieces, 5 slices of pie. And if you're trying to put your focus on YouTube, Instagram, podcasts, Facebook, all these places, what's actually happening, people that are on the other side of that are only getting 20% of your efforts. So I want you to actually do the opposite of what most gurus teach you to be when they teach you to be everywhere. If you're just starting out trying to get to your first $500,000, right, you need to just pick one platform. So my favorites for coaches specifically is Facebook, Instagram, those two, right? And arguably, I'd probably say Instagram is probably going to be the best, or Facebook. And if you're going to do Facebook, you want to have a Facebook free community, because community is what creates connection, which what's turns into clients. So when I think about, okay, how do I grow this audience? So there's a couple of different ways. On Instagram, I think partnering, doing giveaways, partnerships, follow for follow through hashtags. Now, I wouldn't go unfollow people if you're going to do that, but I would make sure that you're following and engaging, because here's the thing, you get whatever engagement you give is what you're going to get back. A lot of people complain, well, nobody likes my stuff, nobody's commenting. Well, are you doing that engagement back, right? So I think that you have to think about it's a two-way street. So growing your audience on Instagram and Facebook, it really is all about engaging with people's audiences that are already existing. So you could go to my Instagram right now, go look at people that are commenting on my Instagram. If you're in the same niche, look at my followers, look at people that are commenting, and start following those people and engaging with them. And that it's a slow growth way, but it is a way to build your audience on Instagram. Now, I will say my favorite way to grow your audience is through paid traffic. Even if you're only spending like $25 a day, it's going to grow your audience way faster. Okay. So you don't have to ever build an audience from scratch. You just have to go find where your people are already hanging out. So if that's in Facebook groups, if that's in different hashtags, if that's on your competitors, right? Go find them and bring them to you. And that looks like adding them on Facebook, going to the Facebook group, following them. And then, about half of those people will engage back and kind of come into your world. So that's the first step.
So you got to actually spend time commenting back.
Yes.
On other people's stuff.
You do. Yeah. And authentically, not like some just like love it, like not some fake BS. Like you really want to make a genuine connection, because that's going to make you stand out. Yeah.
Not like a fire
like
emoji.
The little love.
Not just like the comment, right? Like they just like the comment and leave you hanging.
Yeah, it's like, what? So that's the first step. You got to grow. You got to get people in front of the content that you're going to create. Because I think people get in the trap of like, well, I'm just going to create all this content, right? Now, YouTube's a different story, because it's a search engine. So people are actively searching, right? But I think YouTube has a higher barrier to entry, where Instagram and Facebook, I mean, you can be growing your audience every single day, and you don't have to put as much of production into creating the content.
Yeah.
Yeah, my biggest following comes from Instagram, and it's mainly those are the people who are interested in what I do. So I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, so going back on, what about TikTok? You didn't even mention TikTok at all.
So I think TikTok's a great platform. I think that if you have the energy to want to create 3 to 4 to 5 videos a day, I think it's a great platform. Personally, for me, I don't have that type of energy, so I don't create on TikTok. But I think it's a great platform if you want to learn it and show up there. There's a lot of opportunity with the reach. So yeah, it's some of my clients use it. So I just don't necessarily think that everybody's audience is on TikTok yet. But like I said, there is a lot of opportunity over there too. But it's about focus. So just pick one. Just pick one. You don't need 5. Pick one.
Yeah, my biggest focus has been Instagram for sure.
Rafa, you and I know a bunch of people that have a TikTok and they have like millions of followers, but then you go to their Instagram and there's like 5,000. I'm like, how does that even like? I guess they don't cross different barriers. They don't cross.
No, TikTok's very viral, dude. I know a dude who went from was it like 60 followers to like 1 million in like a week, because 2 of his videos went viral.
Yeah.
So it's super viral. If you get, it's a lot of luck to do within stuff like that as well, but it's crazy. So hey, listen, we're getting to the top of the hour, Lattice, and I want to get to the segment where we ask every single person who comes on, being that this is the Big Break Show. I want to know, like, what was your big break in terms of like entrepreneurship, life? Like, it doesn't matter, whatever you think. Like, is there a defining moment in your life where you go, if it wasn't for this, like my big break, I wouldn't be where I'm at now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So back in 2020, what comes to mind is, it's actually ironic. I think it was today or yesterday that was George Floyd's death anniversary. But I had been in my coaching business. We were doing pretty well. I was doing like 15 to 20K a month. So that's pretty well. But I was really like hungry for more. I was like, what's next? And it's around the time where, George Floyd was murdered. And it was a time where I could either had just like played really small and not like spoke my truth or actually like spoke up for what I wanted to believe in. And it was really interesting because I have a lot of friends that don't look like me that weren't saying anything. And I was like, well, I'm going to step up and say something because I consider myself a thought leader in some ways. And, at the time I had like maybe 6,000 or 7,000 followers on Instagram, but I used my voice, and I used my voice, especially as a Black woman in America that, hasn't had it easy in all the ways. So I would say like with those circumstances, I was able to like create a space so other people could hear my truth and I would be listened to. Okay. So, and I talked about being in business as a Black woman. I talked about the experiences that we have. I talked about when I got pulled over by a cop and I was scared for my life, just a couple months prior. So I would say like that was a really big shift because I was really nervous because I never had that opportunity to do that where people actually were listening. So I say that all to say I ended up doing this $99 workshop it was all about how to be anti-racist in business as a business owner when you're hiring a team. And that workshop, within 6 days, I made $33,000 with a $99 workshop. So that was a very pivotal moment in my business. And I almost didn't do it because I was like, who's going to listen to me? But I said, F it, I'm going to do it anyway. And that changed the landscape of my business because I actually I spoke my truth. So, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah. And a lot of people too I don't think they recognize or understand the adversity that people of color face on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Like, or even know what it's like to go into a restaurant and be the only Mexican guy in there. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't realize that or see that. I was just talking to one of my friends. He's a white dude, and he's like, "You're the whitest person I know. You're like a coconut." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not. Like, I'm brown. I'm a brown guy. Like, I go into these places and I feel like uncomfortable sometimes." He's like, "Yeah, but you're the whitest guy. You wear sandals and shorts." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude. I might like quote unquote act white, but I'm like my skin is brown. You know, like I'm not a freaking
like. What does that even mean, right? You act white. Like, okay, what does that mean? Tell me.
I don't know. I don't know what that means either. I don't know. I think it's
important to have these conversations because as business owners, we could use it as, I think we need to look at like what's actually happening. And then also like, I also think it's also my superpower, right? So I've never let anything hold me back in my life, not even my skin color that has been up for discussion in a lot of ways, right? So I made it a very good point. And it's interesting because in that workshop that I did, I asked a really powerful question. I said, how many of you, like it was to a group of white, like hundreds of white women, coaches and entrepreneurs. I said, how many of you would trade places with me? And then how many of you have ever been the only white woman in the room? And nobody raised their hand. And I've always like, more than not, 70% of the time in the spaces I've been in, I've been the only Black woman, right? So it raised a lot of good conversation about like, check your biases at the door when you're working with clients and your team members online, because, we're all running businesses and we need to be fair and ethical. So diverse. So it was a good moment, a good teaching moment and a good lesson for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think it's important to speak your mind and feel what you need to feel and speak something that you feel is important. And there's a lot of people that will back you in that. And you coming from the HR department, like that's your expertise, like literally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. And thanks for sharing. So another question that we ask is an actionable step. So we're getting close to the end right here, right? So what can somebody do today from listening, Lattice, to us talk about this, besides wear a yellow shirt? What's something that somebody could do to get involved with anything, entrepreneurship or something just in general, an actionable step from listening this today that they can move forward with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of a 2-part answer, but I'll make it quick. First one is decide. You have to decide. You can't be half in or half out being like, I think I'll start it in 2023, right? We're not promised 2023. So you need to make a decision on like, where do you want your life to go and how quickly are you going to initiate to take the action? That's the first step. And the second step is become obsessed. Like, I literally found out about MTRs a week ago and I'm like, Jesse, how can I work with you? I need the support. I need help. You have to become obsessed with whatever it is that you want to do. And some people may be like, that's not healthy. Bump that. I don't really care what they have to do, but what they have to say. But people that become obsessed with the work that they do, the impact that they create, like you have to trade in the life that you have for the life that you want. In a lot of ways, you have to become obsessed with it. Okay. So that would be my 2 actionable steps. And like, when I say get obsessed, like get in the room where people are doing what you want to do. So if that's networking events, if that's sliding in people's DMs, if that's buying courses, getting mentorship, right? Shave off the time that it's going to take you to get the results that you want and go go work with somebody that's already gotten what you want. And I promise you, it's going to save you like years and years and years of effort, tears, and it's going to get you to where you want to be faster. So that's what I would say.
Got you. Yeah.
Lattice, I love that. I got to ask you a question before we end it here. And I know we're already going over to the hour, but what makes a bad coach? How can somebody define that? Like, what if I go in and I see someone who's like, hyping and selling, and I'm like, well, I really want to buy it. And then you just let down. But prior to that, how can you define somebody to say, hey, this guy's not good, or this person's not good? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think first you have to gut check, like what kind of feeling. I'm very intuitive. So like, what kind of feeling do you have about this person? Okay. Because a lot of people want to be like, oh, this person's a this, or they're not good this, or they don't, what you have to gut check yourself. Like, is this person, do you believe they are who they say they are? And if you don't, have a conversation with them. That's the first thing. And then as far as the art of actual coaching, I think what makes somebody like a good coach or a great coach is that they actually know how to listen and not constantly trying to tell you exactly what to do or how to do it. They actually can hold space for you and tell you or ask you questions that's going to get you to the answer. Because I think in this space, people get really confused with coaching and like consulting. I say our program is like a blend of it. But I definitely, when I think about coaching and getting my client to a lot of the mindset stuff that goes into building a business and showing up and being visible, it's asking those questions that aren't going to be easy to always answer. And also being able to go there with your clients, right? When my clients hire me, they don't hire me to be their best friend. They hire me to be their coach. And I'm not always going to tell them or ask them questions that they want to hear. But I promise you, even if it's 6 months, a year, or 5 years from now, they're going to thank me. And that's what makes a good coach, in my opinion, just to start. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that.
I like that too. Lattice, nowadays, everybody's a coach. I have people that took my class and then were coaches like 3 weeks later. Like literally I saw that they were posting about being coaches. And I'm like, how did, what just happened right now? So, I don't know. And that's a good question.
I don't pay attention to those people.
Yeah.
Unless they copy my stuff, I'll send them to my lawyer, but I don't pay attention because at the end of the day, like you're the OG, like, and they know where they came from. So I don't even let that come into my energy field. I'm like, I'm just focused. I'm gonna serve my people, and I truly believe there's enough abundance for everybody. So you do you, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna get my millions and help a lot of people on the way.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And I think you said it perfectly. Like people resonate with that person, like if you resonate with somebody, and that's why I like YouTube so much, that somebody can see somebody on there and they just connect somehow, some way, like you watch them every day. Yeah. Rafa, that's why you got your YouTube thing. That's how you grow your audience, is you're authentic, you're your true self. Yeah. You're explaining what you love doing. People can see that, people can understand it. And I think that's where you start growing, your audience, or the people that you come in, that you connect with, because they obviously connect with you somehow, some way. But Lattice, where can folks find you at?
Yeah, y'all can find me on Instagram at Lattice Hudson, and that's LATTICEHUDSON. Send me a DM.
Well, there it is, folks. Lattice moving from Colorado to, because of a breakup, over to Scottsdale, coaching, going from Target to Avis to wherever else you were at. But now here you are, 6 figures, everywhere. Scaling your way up to the million, helping coaches up their game.
We're already there. We're already at the million, but yeah,
you're already there. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to connect with you offline because I gotta learn some stuff from you. So there you go, folks. Share this with people that you love and care about, and if it doesn't resonate with you, share it with somebody that potentially it can resonate with, especially if they're growing in the any type of entrepreneurship, coaching, mentorship. My class is going to be coming here pretty soon. Rafa's class is coming up pretty soon. So, Rafa, we never talk about the stuff we do in here ever. I think we're going to have to start doing that a little bit more, man. We don't sell our stuff at all in here.
Jesse's last live class. No more live classes.
No more live classes, you guys. That's it. It's done. Lattice says no more one-on-one calls. That's the last one.
So y'all better get in while you fit in.
Lattice, we appreciate you for being here. Thanks so much. And y'all go follow her.
Thank you, Lattice.
Thank you. That was fun.